Hey everyone, welcome back to another Mattel Hammond Collection review. Today we take a look at their largest release so far in the Hammond Collection, the Brachiosaurus. The Hammond Collection continues to impress us. A few years ago, Mattel gave us the Legacy Collection Brachiosaurus. No one thought that we would ever see sauropod figures that big in the Jurassic line, and Mattel delivered with that Legacy Collection one. Then we got a repaint. Now we have this beautiful, fully articulated Brachiosaurus to add to our collection, and this thing is absolutely magnificent. Now, I ended up picking this figure up at Target. It retails for around $85. I'll leave a link down below in the description to Target's website if you want to order one for yourself. I actually found this one in stores. My pre-order actually shipped the other day, but for some reason it's taken over a week. It's going to take over a week to get here. So I picked this up in stores, and when the other one comes in, I'm just going to return it and get my money back. But yeah, I am absolutely blown away by this thing. I can't believe we actually have a Hammond Collection Brachiosaurus. Now that they've done a figure this big, they pretty much can do any dinosaur species in the Hammond Collection now because they pulled off one of the biggest ones for a pretty affordable price. I think $85 is definitely worth it for this figure. Now, let's go over the package really quick before we take this figure out. Well, actually, it's already out. I've been playing with it for a few days now. A couple days now. So let's take a nice look at the package. We have this beautiful artwork of the figure on the back of the box. We got a picture right here of the different poses it can do. Its articulation. Yes, it can stand. Here are the measurements of it. It's actually a little bit longer than what it says on that 43 inches. You have to measure along the curve of the neck. But we'll get to that a little bit later on in the review. Got the Jurassic Park 30th anniversary logo up here, and then on the top of the box we have the site of the first dinosaur on the tour of Jurassic Park causes Dr. Alan Grant to only stand up and remove his hat and glasses in shock, but he also physically turns Dr. Sal's head so she can see what he can't believe, a massive Brachiosaurus. Welcome to Jurassic Park. Now, I had the pleasure of seeing Jurassic Park when it first opened in '93, and when the Brachiosaurus first appeared on screen, the whole theater just was an audible gasp of disbelief of how realistic these dinosaurs look. It's still, to this day, one of my favorite movie moments of all time. And let's turn the box around. I'm going to pause it for 1 second. And here is the front of the box with the Brachiosaurus rearing up. Beautiful, beautiful packaging. Art on here. More pictures of the posability of this figure. And then turn it around to the side. We got a nice close-up of the Brachiosaurus head with the Jurassic Park logo, Hammond Collection logo above it. Check out what's inside with Mr. DNA. Yeah. We'll do that later. And then on the side of the box, this box is so big, it is too big for my studio. There are some assembly instructions. We're not going to go over that in this review because I already put the figure together, but they're pretty straightforward. You just have to line up the letters with each port, and everything just clicks nice and easily into place. So enough about the packaging. Let's jump into this review. And there's one more thing we get inside the package. We get this bingo Dino Mr. DNA thing. How to make a Brachiosaurus. Yeah, I guess you just follow the instructions, but I guess we all know how Brachiosaurs are really made. And here's the Brachiosaurus out of the box. And this thing is absolutely massive. I have to stand up to do this review because it's so tall on my review table. I can't even put it on the turntable because it just would not fit in the frame. But let's just zoom in and take a look at that eye. It has a glass eye, and look how much better that looks than they did on the T-Rex. They actually came out with a version 2 of the Hammond Collection T-Rex with a better eye and a little bit better paint job. I guess you just have to go to stores and see the difference on them. Whoop-de-doo. It's not like they were going to do a Buck Rex or anything. And then just going down, we have this nice real feel rubber flexible neck. Just very, very movie accurate paint job. You see all the articulation in the legs. It's just all around. It's just absolutely beautiful, massive figure. See how big this thing is? It just goes off the turntable, and just like all the paint details on this thing are absolutely fantastic. This thing is going to be an absolute bear to review. I just absolutely love this thing. Just look how much personality is in that face right here. Nice movie accurate head sculpt. The Legacy Collection one I feel like was based off like Crash McQuarrie's concept art, but this one's much more accurate looking. Absolutely love the look of this thing. This is what I have to work with, everybody. Now just bear with me for a second while we do some measurements. I have to get this whole thing in the frame. This figure is 27 inches long from the top of the head to the bottom of the feet, or 68.5 centimeters. And if you measure along the curve of the neck and the length of the neck to the curve of the tail, this thing is actually 48 inches long, or 122 centimeters. So the Jurassic Park Brachiosaurus is estimated between 86 to 90 feet long, or 26 to 27 meters. So I put this figure in that 121 to 122 scale range, so it does fit nicely in the 118 scale that the Hammond collection is going for. And now let's zoom and take a look at some of the finer details on this figure, starting with this absolutely beautiful head sculpt. Like I said earlier, absolutely impressive looking head sculpt. Very, very movie accurate. It does have a glass eye, but the way I got my light position right now, you can't really see the details. But nice brown eye with a black pupil in there. You can see the nostril sculpted on the top. You have this nice brown detailing all on top of the nasal crest. There's one paint app on here I really don't like. They kind of dry brushed the front of the snout with this black paint, and it kind of looks like it gives this Brachiosaurus like a 70s porn star mustache, opening the mouth up. We're going to cover articulation while I go over the details, because I'm not going to do that in a separate segment. This thing is just so hard to move around on the studio, but the mouth can open up that far, and it can close completely flush. And inside the mouth, we do get some nice detail on the teeth, all glossy pink paint and plastic for the inside of the mouth. The tongue is nicely detailed. You can see some gum detail on the back. Ear canal is sculpted right here. Head can rotate, and you can get some upwards and downwards movement on that ball joint for the neck. Now going down to the neck. The neck, I love this real feel rubber material on here, but it's basically a sleeve that goes over like this 3-point, like ratcheted articulation system, and it's really clumsy to play around with. This is the other thing I don't like about this figure. Everything else I think is absolutely perfect. It just feels weird articulating the neck. It feels like you're gonna break it. I don't know. It's just when you move the neck around, you can see all, these wrinkles forming on here. It just reminds me of that time you walked in on your grandfather when you were 5 and he was getting out of the shower, just really wrinkly, and just does not look right on the figure. Like, you can bend the neck to the side, but you see how all that rubber bunches up. I think the right choice would have been to make this a solid bendable rubber piece, like just solid rubber, so you wouldn't get all these crinkles. Cause I feel like with all this flexibility in here, you're gonna get some paint wears, and this is eventually gonna wear out. I mean, the joint, you can get some decent neck poses out of it, but like I said, look at how it just all bends up. I just don't like the way that looks, but it is what it is. But you do have some nice details all over the neck. We can actually rotate the neck down, and you can see all this nice dry brushing to bring out all those folds and wrinkles on the neck. Let's get the camera to focus in on that so you can see that. Underside of the neck has this nice cream coat underneath it. This thing's just an absolute bear to move around with. And let's go down to the rest of the body. So this joint right here, the neck can go down all the way, and it can go up pretty high, so you can get some nice up and down neck movement on that joint. Going down to the front legs, this thing is just making me sweat. Plus it's like 95 degrees out today, and we had a little studio light malfunction for a second. So anyways, going down to those front legs, nice tall front legs on the Brachiosaurus. You can see all that. There's no real scale detail on here. It's just that elephant skin look that that's what they look like in the movie. So it is movie accurate. Front legs can move forwards that far, they can move backwards that far. You do have a joint at the elbow and a joint at the wrist, and you do get rotation on that wrist joint and at that elbow joint. Going down to the main body, you can see more of those folds and wrinkles. The figure has a much better paint job than the original Legacy one. They're very similar, but since it's a Hammond collection, there are more paint apps on here. You got this nice cream coat for the underside and all this little speckling of dark gray. Let's spin the figure over. You can see all that nice coloration on the underside of the belly. On the back right here, you got more of that dry brushing. I am knocking stuff over left and right with this monstrosity. Going down to the hind legs, more nice detail on the hind legs. They can move backwards that far and forwards that far. You have a bend at the knee and a bend at the ankle. Same thing, rotation on both of those joints. And then going down to the tail, let's try not to knock over another studio light. You do have this nice joint at the tail. You get full rotation on that joint. You get upwards and downwards movement on that hinge joint. And then there is another segment on the tail right here for side to side rotation and up and down movement. And then at the tip of the tail, let's move the camera over just a little bit. You do get rotation on this tail joint. It'd be cool if this was a bendable rubber piece like they did on the T-Rex to get a little bit more flexibility on it, and let's get this thing posed in the standard position. As you can see, because I showed it off on the box, you can get the Brachiosaurus in that iconic rearing pose. The leg joints are stiff enough to support it. I just wish they're a little bit tighter, maybe like a ratchet joint in there, because you kind of have to get it just right or it's going to fall over. And this is a big, heavy figure. You don't want any damage happen to the figure or a massive amount of figures that's going to knock off your shelf if this thing falls. But yeah, it's impressive that it can do this. That was probably the biggest thing this figure needed to do. Being a Hammond collection figure, it needed to stand on two legs, and they pulled it off. All right, now first up for comparisons, here it is with the Hammond collection Dr. Alan Grant, and this really puts into perspective of how big this thing is. Like, look at all the trouble I'm having trying to get this thing reviewed on the table. I gotta get a bigger review table. That is my problem, but yeah, this thing is absolutely massive. And next up, here it is with the Jeep Wrangler. Yet again, you can see the pure size of this girl. So I'm going to do these sauropod comparisons outside because there's no way that's happening in the studio. In the front right here, we have the original Legacy Collection release, and in the back is the Hammond Collection. You can clearly see the sculpting difference between the two head sculpts. Like I said, the Legacy Collection one was definitely based off Crash McCarry's concept art, and then you can see the Hammond Collection one has a far, far superior head sculpt. The Legacy Collection Brachiosaurus is still a absolutely fantastic looking figure, and you can see the paint apps are very, very similar between both of them. Just a little bit more effort was put onto. Now the sun comes out, messes up the entire shot. On the Hammond Collection one, you can see there's just more dry brush on it, but very, very similar when you get them together. The Legacy Collection one body just feels a little bit bigger, but yeah, you could definitely see, it's okay to own both of them. It looks really, really nice, obviously. So what I did with them earlier. So yeah, pretty cool to have these two compared next to each other. And next up for the sauropods, we have the Legacy Collection Apatosaurus. In the back over here, we have the Dreadnoughtus. Yeah, I just can't believe Mattel has given us this many large sauropod figures over the years. It just makes me so happy we have figures this size in our collection. And now that they did the Legacy Collection Brachiosaurus, like I said earlier, sky's the limit for the Hammond Collection for what species they can do. They probably will eventually go back and remake like the Apatosaurus and maybe even Dreadnoughtus into Hammond Collection figures, because Mattel loves making us buy stuff twice, and I'm okay with that because I love sauropods. They're my favorite group of dinosaurs, so the more they make, the happier I'll be. And plus we have that Mamenchisaurus coming out too. Finally, nice to see that species getting some love. But yeah, of the regular Legacy Collection sauropods, the Apatosaurus is my favorite, since it is my favorite dinosaur species of all time. And let's just do a quick zoom from above. You can see the Dreadnoughtus is still an absolutely massive figure compared to all the other sauropod figures. So yeah, it's just so cool that we have this many large dinosaur figures that Mattel has made so far. And lastly, here it is with the rest of the Hammond Collection Jurassic Park figures. These are the ones that actually appeared on screen in the film. We got the T-Rex, Velociraptor, Dilophosaurus, Gallimimus, and Triceratops. Technically, Parasaurolophus, showed up for 3 seconds. Maybe they'll repaint the original Hammond Collection Parasaurolophus in that green color, so we can actually technically have every on-screen dino. But yeah, this Brachiosaurus is absolutely amazing. When Mattel does good, they do good. Let's talk quickly about the crowdfunding. I am sad that it didn't get funded. I actually backed it, but I gotta say, they did a piss poor job of marketing that thing. It just felt like if you spent that $250 and all the tiers weren't reached, it wasn't worth it. I feel like the Buck Rex, the Explorer, and the Gates should have been included first, and that probably will get a lot more people to jump in. And then, every couple $1,000 you unlock, Lex and then Tim. It just felt like an incomplete thing, what you're going to get for if it didn't get fully funded. But, we spoke with our wallets. Maybe Mattel will pay attention and do better next time. It's been a wild month on Facebook with everyone talking about it. Just like the anger and hate towards the fans for not backing it. Hey, if you don't want to spend $250, no one's going to force you to do it, but everyone's just going back and forth. But I'm sad to see it didn't get funded. I was looking forward to it, but I understand why it didn't get funded. But, this Brachiosaurus washes the taste out of my mouth of how bad Mattel botched that crowdfunding. This is a great figure for $85, and you really, really can't beat it. It's just fun to play with and just looks great with the rest of the Hammond Collection. So final thoughts on the Hammond Collection Brachiosaurus. This thing is magnificent. It's such a beautifully done figure. You can tell Mattel put a lot of love into this thing. It's movie accurate. It's that 1/18 scale-ish that fits into the Hammond collection. This thing is the complete package. It's an absolute joy to play around with. The articulation is really good. My only minor complaints about it is I just don't like that dry brushing on the snout with that 70s porn stash. And the neck articulation I feel like can be a lot better. I just don't like the way those joints work and how it makes the neck look all crinkled and wrinkled. I just feel like it's going to wear out over time. You're going to get some paint rub. I think a solid rubber neck with a heavy-duty bendable wire would have been the best choice, but I'm sure they probably prototyped and tested that stuff out, and this is the best solution they could come up with was that rubber sleeve. Other than that, the figure is fantastic. It is a worthy addition to your Jurassic Park collection. And like I said earlier, now that we got a figure this big in the Hammond collection, they can do any species they want now. Sky's the limit for the Hammond collection. They can just redo every figure in the main line in the Hammond collection, and I will be buying it. It's just making it easier and easier to ignore stuff from the main line because the Hammond collection has been so good. There's been very, very few missteps with the Hammond collection, and it's just a great figure. Now, like I said earlier, I got mine at Target. Retails for around $85. The link to order this figure from Target is down below in the description. So that will do it for the review. I have some more stuff coming in from PNSO. A couple more Jurassic World reviews I have to catch up on, so stay tuned for all of that. And as always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously and is greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys for the next one.